Can you see the good beyond your own good? Can you look into another face and remember they too are somebody's joy? Maybe that's where belief begins. Every face has a story. Every heart has an aim. Every child is the joy of somebody just the same. Every home holds its treasures. Every family knows care. What I cherish for my loved ones, I must hope that others share. If I ask for peace, let me make some. If I ask for mercy, let me show some. If I ask Allah for love, let me give love. 'Cause the proof of belief is the way we live. I want you happy like I want to be. I want you safe like I pray for me. I want your children to laugh without fear. Love has to move. Love has to live. The proof of belief is the way we live. When I look into your eyes, I don't see a stranger there. I see someone's son or daughter, someone held in someone's prayer. You've been trying to find your way. I've been trying to. Funny how the things we share outnumber what divides me and you. Love is a promise. Love is a choice. Love is the courage to hear another's voice. Love makes room at every table. Love makes room where the soul can grow. May the one who made us different teach us how to see every soul is worthy of love and dignity. I want you happy like I want to be. Oh, yeah. I want you safe like I pray for me. May every child find hope enough to dream. Love has to move. Love has to live. The proof of belief is the way we live. Every face has a story. Every heart has an aim. Every child is the joy of somebody just the same. Funny how the things we share outnumber what divides me and you. Love makes room where the soul can grow. May the one who made us different teach us how to see every soul as worthy of love and dignity. Love makes room where the soul can grow.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Alaikum assalam. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you are just fine. And I want to welcome those who have joined us now and those who will join us in the future to Conscious Connection Conversations. I'm Imam Dr. Tariq El-Amin. I am the host And I am pleased to bring to you another conversation. Hopefully, that will spur even more conversation. Today, with me, I have as my conversation partner, Imam Mikal Saahir. Our topic, the theme that is overarching this whole thing, is words, faith, and culture. Uh, the culture that we create, right, through words. And before we get into that, let me give you a little bit of info about today's conversation partner. He is a respected Muslim leader, is an author, an educator, a longtime servant of the Indianapolis community. Since 1992, he has served as the resident imam of the Nurullah Islamic Center, where he leads a community in worship, education, and service. He is also a student of the Imam Muhammad Muhammad and has spent decades engaged in interfaith work here in the United States and abroad. He's also a writer and historian. He's the author of The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, The Man Behind the Men, now in its third edition. And this book, it explores the often overlooked influence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through figures including Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Imam Muhammad. So he brings to our conversation more than 3 decades of leadership and lived experience and service within the Muslim American community. So I'm honored to welcome him again to Conscious Connection Conversations, Imam Mikal Saahir. Assalamu alaikum again.
Alaikum assalam to you and your wonderful listening audience. My pleasure to be here with you. And we're quite proud of your esteemed and distinguished work that you have done for years. If I may say, it love to be following in your father's footsteps, because he was outstanding too. So and your mother's outstanding. And so alhamdulillah. That's right.
That's a beautiful those are beautiful words. I really appreciate that. We know none of us is a creation of our own doing. We all, we've been poured into, and I certainly have. And I appreciate you mentioning my parents. That means a great deal to me. So let me begin by, where do we go? You know what? Let's first get into who and what shaped you. I know we mentioned that you're a student of Imam Muhammad, but broadly speaking, can you talk a little bit about how you became the man you are when you look back to who and what shaped you?
Yes, well, likewise, I have to give credit to my mother and my father. My mother died when I was fairly young, 13 years old, but still, she had me up to that point of going into manhood, so that's a very important part of my life. And my father just passed about 4 years ago, so he was always there as well. I recognize the different wounds that bore me. The Quran tells us to reverence the womb that bore you. So I look at my childhood. I think even the church I was raised in. I was honored 6-7 years ago for the Interfaith Ambassador of the Year. And I think it surprised a lot of people that in my PowerPoint, I showed a picture of the church I was raised in, because that's the part that made me. I began to think different maybe as I got older, but I cannot neglect that the church was the Church of Christ, and it was a very good, I guess it still is, a very good church. I just began to think different. So I had to recognize that. And so the things that made me, I'm from the turbulent years of America's life of change, meaning the late 60s, 70s, a lot of change came through. Black Panthers, Black Muslims, hippie, flower power, Vietnam War protests, the assassination of Kennedy, Malcolm, Medgar Evans, Robert Kennedy. A lot of things are going on for a young teenager. And plus, and no disrespect, we have some of the best music coming along through that time. We have some, I'm serious. I mean, even the young guys can't keep their hands off of it. And because we have some of the best, but that music, Earth, Wind & Fire, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, OJ's, I mean, even Bootsy Collins and Funkadelic. I mean, it was like those things were shaping me. We are a product, and that's kind of getting into our theme. The words that shaped and made you, they're real. Then I was blessed to as a teenager, I was still in high school, I was going to the Nation of Islam meetings occasionally. And I even tried to write the letter. right out of high school, and then soon thereafter, Imam Muhammad became the leader, and that is a whole nother language environment that has shaped and made me the man I am now.
Mm. Is there anybody's influence that it took time for you to appreciate? Maybe you didn't recognize it early on, but now looking back, it's a bit
Oh,
clearer to
wow.
you.
Probably Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King, probably, because my mind coming out of high school, listening to Malcolm, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and all that, Dr. King wasn't quite as high in esteem then because of the competition, I would say.
Mm.
But as I became older and began to find those tapes and lectures that they did not make public,
Hmm.
they gave us the milk and honey, sweet, sweet Dr. King. And then when I heard the other Dr. King, I said, man, he was on it. He
Yeah.
was on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He had a whole other side.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And of course, it makes sense that that wasn't what was popularized. Um, that makes sense. Well, tell me this: when did faith become something that you consciously chose for yourself? You mentioned that when you show your PowerPoint, you go back to the Church of God in Christ, and that being a formative part of who you were.
The
But
Church
when
of
did
Christ.
Church of Christ? Yeah, but when did that something become? When did that become something that you connected to consciously yourself?
Uh, I've always been a believer in God, I would say, and I always had faith in something bigger and better than me. Uh, I mean, I think being a Muslim, it was definitely with the Quran. Uh, I think it's true, not just for myself, but for many others who 5 to 10 years older and younger than me. We came through a period of critiquing everything. I mean, we critiqued everything. And one of the major things that we critiqued, because we were encouraged by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we critiqued Christianity. I mean, for a long time, we gave it a lot of critique, some justly and some not just, But so the faith, uh, as I became more rooted in Islam, in the Quran itself, then my faith it was not just a thought in the air. It became words that supported their faith. It became a working faith. It
Mm.
became a down to earth faith. It became a source for helping my people faith. So later on, Imam Muhammad gave it the language from the example of Prophet Abraham of a rational based faith. And when I heard that, they really resonated with me. A rational based faith.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't loose. It wasn't in the clouds. It wasn't after I die. It was none of that. It was like, this is real. And then another expression, which we may get into more later on, when I heard Lady Kira Lubbock and her expression, she used the word faith, she used the word love, but it wasn't that everyday love. It was
Mm-hmm.
it's a way of living love, and it's and so all those things put my faith into a perspective of being more tangible, more realistic in everyday life. And that's what I would appreciate it when my faith became more conscious in that way.
Mm. So you really are pointing to reinterpretation, a re-engagement with the word that had a practical expression. What are some of
Mm-hmm.
the when we think about words make people,
Mm-hmm.
especially from your formative years, what are some of the words in particular that you can kind of look back and say that these were important?
Wow, that's a big question because uh, that I'm approaching my 70th birthday, so I got a lot of generations, decades to live through to answer that question.
Yeah.
Um, So it's like, um, ask me that question one more time, please.
So when you think about, the idea of words make people, right? Which is also, and we'll
Hmm.
get into this a little bit later as well, which is, um, your production as well. Words make people. Um,
Hmm.
what are some of the words that you can look back from your formative years that had an impression? You know,
About some of these years before Islam or after
you know,
Islam?
I would even broaden it to say that, I mean, because we're always in a process of formation. So
Yes.
I don't want to just go before Islam. Um, it could be at any point. Just what comes to mind for you?
Wow. Uh, but I guess when we become Muslim, we say La ilaha illallah. I'm not saying the second part now, just the first part, La ilaha illallah.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, I said, what do you mean? I have to say no first? I said, yes, you got to say no first. And
Mm,
then later on, you find out what you're saying no to. Every single thing you ever been taught in life.
mm,
You have to put that back. You say no to all of it. And then, as we know as Muslims, the second part of that phrase, like you said, there's no God except God.
right.
And so, wow, so that's quite revolutionary. Even now, when I think about it now, it's still quite revolutionary because you have to put everything on hold you ever been taught, seen, heard, thought about, dreamt about. It's kind of like put it all on hold and put God first.
Mm,
So that right there is and we constantly renew that as Muslims. Because things creep in even after we become Muslim. And so we go back and we reiterate that stance, that position, that understanding. And so that right there is probably the words that it really is a saving force. And then later on, you learn when you study the religion, they said that one phrase, it said you can be the worst person you ever been in your life, and you can be in the lowest level of hell. And when we talk that there's 7 levels of hell, right? 7 levels of heaven, good, and 7 levels of hell. They said you can be in the bottom of hell. If you hold on to La ilaha illallah, there's no God but God, it'll raise you out of the lowest level of hell. I said, okay. So not saying I'm there, I'm trying to get there, but I'm saying that's a powerful phrase.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So in terms of formative years, and not just for yourself, but for many people who have embraced Islam, in the
Mhm.
United States of America. Um, we have had some conversations before about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his
Mhm.
contributions, his work. And you wrote a book about this, as a historian, as somebody who has tried to chronicle that history. So the
Mhm.
man behind the men. Um, can you first of all tell us what compelled you to write it, and what does the title mean? The
Yes,
man
sir.
behind the men.
Yes, sir. What compelled me to write the book was dissatisfaction. The dissatisfaction became strong every year around February, aka Black History, African American History Month. I'm like, they did it again. They did it
Mhm.
last year, year before. Our African American brothers and sisters, even it was the main ones, give all this Black history, and they can't mention the Honorable Elijah Muhammad year after year after decade. So I became very dissatisfied with that, and that was the stimulus. I said, well, uh, they're not the only ones that got a pencil and a pen. Right?
Right,
So
right,
if they
right.
won't do it for us, then we'll do it for ourselves. And maybe it's a good thing they didn't do it for us because they tend to get the words spelled wrong or mispronunciation or get things out of order anyway. So why not one of us write about us? So it was dissatisfaction put in one word that stimulated me to write that. And it began off as my capstone for my college project. I was going to Norton University in Indianapolis, and so my final project was this very same title, The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Man Behind the Man. Before Imam Muhammad passed, I asked him about the title. I said, what do you think about the title? Well, and we were coming back from Georgia. It happened to be on the same plane, right? Just coincidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And at the airport, I asked him about it. It was right after 9/11, so I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was February 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what do you think about this title? And he said he liked it. So that gave me more encouragement to really go with it. And before he passed, the book was published after he passed, but he did get the whole manuscript before he passed. So
Oh,
100 for that.
wonderful.
So that was the reason why I wrote it. And part two of your question was, you said, why did I write it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you asked me a two-part question. I should have wrote it down. Now, you said, what was it that's, go ahead.
Well, you know what? It may be related to the question I was thinking of as you were answering, because you wrote this as a part of an academic pursuit.
Yes.
What did you learn? What did you learn in researching and writing the book?
Oh, my goodness. I learned a lot. And one of the challenges, anybody who has written a book in particular of this type, is that you have an objective in mind. The challenge comes over and over again when the road you thought you were going to take is not valuable because you ran into new information that changed the dynamics.
Right.
Now, what do? If you're a truthful writer, you're going to have to adjust your writing to fit the new truth that you didn't even know existed. So that is a challenge probably for most writers, in particular for those who. But when you begin, you say, "I'm going to write a book." Say, why? Because I'm trying to get from point A to point Z. But along the way, things change. That you get information that come up about family life and concerns, and then the difficult issues. I did not want to skirt around difficult issues, assassinations, the outside children, etc. But then you find out some other things too that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was involved with indirectly, but very much involved with two U.S. Supreme Court rulings. So the one is Muhammad Ali. He was not directly involved, but he was definitely behind that. You should know how that connection worked. And also one was with the Illinois prison, to where they were able to get Islamic literature into the prisons. It went to the Supreme Court. And once the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Muslims, well, the Christians said, what about us? And everybody else said, what about us? But that was the word because the men were trying to get in the message to the black man, etc., the Muslim literature. And they won that in the Supreme Court. So you said, oh, my goodness. And then I found out that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spent thousands and thousands of dollars for civil rights actions, getting people out of jail. And he did this quietly. And now you can go online and Google, I think it was Julian Bond, who said it can now be told. And I got a chance to ask Julian Bond directly, so I just didn't have a ticket recorder with me, but he came to Indianapolis and I asked him. He said, yes. He said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us money, cash money, to help them bring 1968 to bring African Americans up to for the Chicago Democratic Convention, because the Southern Democrats left the African Americans out, and they went to Elijah Muhammad and got the money, cash money. So when you're writing about that kind of person, you say people need to know about this. That he had the year before he died, the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Illinois made it Elijah Muhammad Day. And then the year when he died, the mayor came back again, came back again and made it again the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Day. Those things people need to know about.
Wow. Yeah, that's not common knowledge at all. At all. So one of the things that particular time period is known for, as well as others, or that leadership was known for, was do for self. And I bring that up because I see this shirt that you're rocking, Brother Imam.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Is that true? Is that true detergent? Is that what I'm
looking at?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
You
think
know about it.
I can't think of. I use it. I use it. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so I can't think of a better example of the do for self, ethos in action. So tell our listener, our viewing audience, and those who will come later on, what's the story behind the True Detergent?
Yes, the True Detergent is, and this is just one of the main products. It is an actual laundry detergent, if I may. This is how this is going to show up on your
Oh,
screen
you
now.
came prepared.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This right here, plastic bottle. I mean, one ounce of this detergent does
Yeah.
a full load, and it does a very good job. We've been using it way before COVID. That's all we have used since. I don't know when I started, but my brother Malik Salim, uh, in Atlanta, Georgia. I was down in Atlanta last month. He came into his factory. They got they make the detergent right there themselves.
Mm.
A lot of times people they'll send it out, someone else make it for them, and they put their label on someone else's product. No, I saw the big machine. Be like $200,000 machine to where they make their own detergent right there in Atlanta. So if she's interested in it, she can go online. She can find this real fast. Give you this website because this product here, this ingredients, the scientific mind behind making this detergent,
Yeah.
or brothers, I don't know their names. Please forgive me. They were actually members in the Nation of Islam,
Mm.
and they followed Imam Muhammad into the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet, and they're still there today. So this product here was made from the intellects of African American Muslims. So just go to www.thetrueproducts.com. Thetrueproducts.com. In order to use some detergent, plus it could be an excellent fundraiser for communities. If you say you're shooting in your city and you get a big shopping tournament, then you got, I think you left your E out of True.
Oh, it's an E in there.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah.
important.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I leave everything, right? Yeah, uh, yes, it could be a way to. If you go to a big department chain in your store and get them to buy this product, that could be a fundraiser for your mosque, for your masjid.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we definitely want to see them continue to grow.
Yes, sir.
We understand the power of a business. So we got it up there. We leave it up there for just a few
Yes, sir.
moments.
Thank you.
So tell me this. Going back to the book titled "The Man Behind the Men," the
Mhm.
people that get the most notoriety. Uh, do we sometimes pay so much attention to the person that's standing out front that we overlook the people who help to make that person possible? I mean, obviously, the book itself, the title itself, it it assumes that is the case. But how would you say that even for those people, do you think is there a paradigm that you're kind of introducing with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's leadership that can also be applied to other people who have, seemingly like
Mhm.
popped up out of nowhere? Uh,
Yeah, and I do apologize. I have the detergent, but I don't have my book right in front of me. but to answer your question, uh, I said people for whatever reasons have a preconceived notion, idea, conclusion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And a lot of their conclusions are errant, or errors. I said, well, the Bible verse says, uh, a tree is known by its fruits and a man by his works. Okay, all right. Well, maybe if, in particular, those who have a hard time seeing and appreciating the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, maybe if I put before them the ones who they do clamor over,
mhm.
uh, Muhammad Ali, Imam W. Muhammad, Mr. Farrakhan, Malcolm X. And let me try to introduce the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to that listening audience, of the total listening audience, through these men that he produced. And because all four men are a direct product of his work, all four. So now, while you still continue to honor Malcolm, Imam Muhammad, Mr. Farrakhan, and Muhammad Ali, you cannot deny that all four of them are rooted and got their start from this man who you have a misunderstanding of, that man being Elijah Muhammad. You see? So this is very important that we see this man because without him, you don't have a Muhammad Ali. You got a Cassius Clay.
Right.
You don't have a Louis Farrakhan. You got a Louis, was it Lomax? I think it was. He was known as
The charmer.
the charmer. He was playing violins and singing songs, trying to be like Harry Belafonte. You don't get a Malcolm X. You get some guy who was a hustler, who was a pimp. And Imam Muhammad, of course, was born and raised in his house, but it was still his grooming by his father that put him on the path that he is now. So this is what that I was trying to do, and from the results that I've received, I think I was blessed to achieve that. I think I was blessed to achieve that.
Thank you. I want to bring in a question that was put in the chat. So we're actually dialing back a little bit. The
Sure.
question is, what was the standout thing that really impacted your change?
The standout thing that impacted my change. Okay, well, we had to make both of them plural. Make things and make changes.
Okay.
Because I'm still being impacted. But probably the biggest thing that had an impact on me was recognizing the connection of Islam in the African American history before slavery. That was a big impact upon me because the way it was given to me back in, this is the mid 70s, early to mid 70s, that Islam was our natural religion before slavery, and they stole it from us. That to me was like, wow. And then I've always been a reader that would go back and study things, and so I went down to the library because this is before we had Google, right? You couldn't go, you had to get in the car and go down in a park and walk up some steps and,
right.
And, old school Google. But I began to find things out because the first thing what I wanted to do, I went to the library and I got a name book. But my name was Flanagan. Michael, my father gave me middle initial O, Flanagan. You can't get no more Irish than Flanagan.
Right.
So I went downtown to the library and got a name book and looked up Flanagan. I said, an old man with red hair. I said, well, cancel me out on two regards. I wasn't old, and I definitely did have red hair, right? Because I had been taught that we had slave names. So then I was raised in the Church of Christ. I went and got a book. I got that from my uncle's house. I said, Church of Christ was started in the early 1900s when it broke away from the disciples of Christ. I said, my grandfather was older than the church. This is my mind. You asked me, I'm just the question asked. These things had powerful changes on me. I'm baptized at 13 years old in Church of Christ, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost and all that. But a few weeks later, I found out that's the same water that comes through my faucet at home. I was like, I thought we had holy water in their baptismal. And come to find out, that's the same water. This is my mind. I'm just exposing my thinking. These things had an impact on me. And so when I heard about, at the time, Nation of Islam, they began to answer questions that I've been pondering in my mind for a long time. That's just the Nation of Islam. I got to Al-Islam property. I was home free.
Mm, mm. So I think this is actually a good segue to get into, as I'm looking at as time is moving. I want to get into some of the
Mhm.
interfaith work that you've done. You've done a lot of work, and I want to lift up the work with Focolari as being a big part of that as well. What about this work still gives you joy?
Uh, Learning, you can always learn. And for those who may not know, the Focolari is a Catholic-based group that was started in Trent, Italy during World War II and led for many years by late then Kira Lubick, based in Italy. And we were introduced to the Focolari through Imam Muhammad in 97. Yeah, in 97. And so since then, we've done a lot of work. But to answer your question, uh, a lot of work together. But to answer your question, interfaith, if it's done properly, will make your original faith, make you stronger in your original faith. Interfaith is that you do not uh, water down your religion, nor do you expect anybody else to water down their religion. If that is done, it's not interfaith. It's just a get
Mhm.
together, having a good time. We had punch, we had cookies, we all smiled in one another's face and went back home. That's not interfaith.
Mhm.
Interfaith is that you keep what you have as your faith and you enter into, and by listening to what they have to say about their faith, and in time, what we have found out, oh, we are kind of saying the same thing, just got a different way of saying it. Okay, so when you do it that way, you say, okay, now I can get more insight. Now, being raised in the church, I already knew it, and we know a lot of Christian language. But however, hearing it from other faith traditions, because you're involved with the various types of Christians, Protestants, Catholics, and others.
Mhm.
But then you begin to listen to Buddhists, Sikhs, right, and others, and you say what the Quran tells us to do: come together on common terms.
Right.
And when you do that, if you really listen to the other, it will grow you in your respective religion without it changing your religion. It will make you stronger in your religion. But if you go in the faith with the idea of, oh, I'm going to convert somebody, I'm going to change somebody, there are certain people who I don't take with me to interfaith events. Because I say, no, I know you're thinking, you're going to be in there trying to debate somebody. This is not the time and place. It's a time to learn and to share. So I met the Dalai Lama. I met the Pope, and other people, I got a picture, brother, man. I got to find this picture, so help me. A picture of me and Muhammad Ali and the Dalai Lama on the stage together
Mm.
in Bloomington, Indiana. I came home and I hid it. Now I can't find it. But they came through interfaith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now there's something I think to kind of peel back a little bit. Uh, you're on the stage with these people who are known as really, it's kind of like fountains of light.
Mm,
Um, but however, the rank and file, the day to day, when you talk about interfaith, there's a hesitancy for a lot
mm-hmm.
of folks. So everybody's not comfortable in that arena.
It's true.
So talk to us about, was that a space that you were always comfortable in? And if not, um, what had to change or develop in you to make that the case?
Right. Well, being blessed to be a student of Imam W. Muhammad, we were well prepared beforehand.
Mhm.
Um, no fear, uh, no concern about being shown up. And I've been on many programs where everybody has some letters to find their name besides me. Doctor this, be whatever it may be. And praise be to Allah, using what we got, I was right there with them. the whole time, you know.
Mm.
And I was on one program, a fairly large church in Indianapolis. I was invited to come, and there was a rabbi and the PhD there, and I'm just being myself. Whatever came across the table, the panel, I answered it. So finally, the rabbi stopped and he asked me, he said, "What school did you go to?" You know, I'm like, I've not been to no school, you know. But then the host minister afterwards, he said, "You knocked it out the park." And he was, you know, like, you know, but at the moment you don't realize it. But we, as students of Imam Muhammad, we are well prepared beyond our understanding until we have the confidence, what you kind of alluded to, having the faith in what we have and engaging ourselves in these conversations amongst whoever it may be, and just be your natural self. And we are well prepared, very well prepared.
Okay. Um, you're throwing them in here, so I have to bring them up. Thank you, Phyllis. The question is, when you say you began to think differently, what does that mean?
Uh, Differently is that having the courage, you know, I didn't see it as courage, but having the willingness to question everything. And I based it upon that our experience as a collective people, as an African American, aka Black people, that we were denied everything. I mean, you name it, we would not get what we had from our original selves, pre-slavery. The only thing they could not get rid of was our physical DNA. But
Mm.
mentally, morally, spiritually, economically, every other kind of way was totally wiped clean. Therefore, at the end of slavery and coming out of Jim Crow and the new mind began to come, then we realized, and many people say this across the board, we are a brand new people on the planet. And
Mm.
therefore, everything, I mean, with the biggest E, you can think of everything that they gave us, we have the right and maybe even an obligation to question all of it, especially when it comes to religion. Because everything that they gave us as a substitute or a replacement was designed to have in it something to cripple us, to keep us in second place, especially religion. So
Mm.
question everything. So that's how, and this is where we're at. And that's where many of our young people are at. They were like, man, what they gave was bogus. I hate to say it that way. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, but what they gave us, it didn't pan out. It didn't work. And so there's a very important African American theologian I mentioned very often. His name was Howard Thurman, Dr. Howard
Yes.
Thurman.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus and the Disinherited in those books. But he was encouraged by Gandhi. Dr. King himself never met Gandhi except through Howard Thurman first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. King was too young. But Howard Thurman met with Gandhi, and Gandhi told him to go back. Now, to tell the whole story, Brother Mel, Gandhi told Thurman and his delegation in 1935, he said, Islam is more compatible for Negroes, probably called us Negroes back then.
Mm-hmm.
Howard Thurman did not want to go with Islam. So Gandhi said, well, you take your Bible and go back and challenge, the racisms and the problems in America. And Howard Thurman done that. So this is where we're at. And there are many other great African American theologians of different religions who have done what I'm saying. But we have to question everything. And for me, I found answers in the Quran and the life model of Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him. So you demonstrated something I think that's really powerful. As a Muslim faith leader, as an imam, referring back to a Christian theologian, um, who's done seminal work. His work
Mhm.
influenced Dr. King, who has
Mhm.
influenced generations, of faith leaders and just people in general.
Mhm.
Um, do you think that when you think about the power of that, I'm thinking about the power of that, and in comparison to folks of other religions, right? Whether they be Christian or Jewish or whatever, right? Also
Hmm.
having the same type of um, the willingness to engage thinkers from other traditions, and to say that, you know, Imam Saahir in his book, you know, he
Hmm.
up the contributions of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? And it's at the fingertips, so it's easy to go right to that. And these are the things, the lessons that I pull from that. Do you see a lot of that kind of a cross faith recognition, um, you know, in interfaith work, where you see your your contemporaries, your colleagues, if you will, making those types of references?
Yes, definitely, definitely. You know, and we, of course, as a Muslim, I base with everything in my religion and in my faith. And the Quran tells us, he says, if you dabble in this book, go ask the people who got books before. So we're given license by Allah to engage people of the book, right? You know, so use that. And then also we're told from the Prophet Muhammad, he says that wisdom or knowledge is the lost property of the believer. So
Mhm.
if I hear from a Buddhist, if I hear from a male or a female, if I hear from a Christian, Jew, whoever, if I'm connected with truth, then I'm going to identify wherever it comes from. And though it may be being said by a Buddhist, Sikh, Christian, or whatever, or a Jew, that's still my property.
Mm.
That's Islam. So if I can't say, well, I must deny that that information because it came from somebody else, then I'm not being true to my Islam. Because Islam tell me come together on common terms and that go after people of the book. And for those who don't know, in Islam, people of the book mean Christians and Jews. Allah tells us to go ask the Christians and the Jews about some of these things.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I never asked you this. I just realized this. The phrase itself is enough to make somebody think. Words make people.
Hmm.
Now, if you make that definite, right? You put the in front of word and make it singular. The word makes a person, or the word makes a people. You know, we think about it
Hmm.
from a religious from a religious context.
Yes.
Um, was that part of your intention in the naming, or how much? What are all the layers that come along with this? Words make people, and what's the vision and intention behind your show?
Okay, thank you. Well, and I like both questions the way that you asked because you put the word "the" in front. You know, in the Quran and in the Bible, we put the word "the" in front is often a reference to Christ Jesus.
Right.
No, the word. Because for those who don't know, who are listening, who may not be Muslim, Jesus is also called the Word in the Quran. So
Mhm.
as Muslims, we have no problem with that. So, but just words in and of themselves. Um, we all live in a language environment. Every human being lives within a language environment. Now, the challenge is, did you create your own language, or did someone else, for commercial reasons, create your language environment? So realizing that we are creatures of language, that the words that we learn, the words that we know, make us. If we want to remake ourselves to be born again, get new language, get new words, or you don't have to get new language per se, but ask God to help you to get the right definition of the words that are common in society. So that when, as a Muslim, I knew the word angel before I became Muslim. I knew the word Jesus Christ before I became Muslim. I knew a lot of words before I became Muslim. When I became Muslim, then I was given the same word, but with a deeper and clearer definition. Because Imam Muhammad told us there's direction in definition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when someone defined for me before, and this is not true or original Christianity, but it was the dominant Christianity, Jesus Christ was a white man. Okay, now that's not no critique. I'm just saying the way that it was, and for some people, he still is a white man. Well, when I became Muslim, I got a new definition for it. It's the same word with a new definition, and the new definition freed me. And so now we have a whole uh, body of knowledge, if you will. We have our own dictionary, and I know you're very familiar with it yourself. In particular, those of us who are students of Imam W.D. Muhammad, we have our own dictionary.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, just a little side note, you go to our website, nurallah.org, and you can find we have A through Z of Imam Muhammad's interpreted definitions of hundreds of words. And so when you realize that many of our problems that our youth have, even that our people have, we are, sadly, we are the product of a language environment that we did not create. You know, and an easy example when it gave us names like, excuse my expression, nigger, coon, spike, spook, I'm sorry, spook. And we ate that bad language so long until now we think it's normal, but it's a negative language. It's a negative term. And when rap music first started, I think this is a very good example, brother, man. When rap music first started, first 10 years or so, it was conscientious music. And they call it the golden age of rap. Mm-hmm. However, the big money behind rap quit funding positive rap music. They said they're waking up the people. And then they came out, and again, you have to excuse my language. This is not my language. But they put money behind rap songs that said, nigger, bitch, F you, I shoot you, I kill you. Big people who are not of our race put money behind the current rap. And the actions that came from it, the shootings, the disrespect for women disrespecting themselves, all came from their change of their shift of words, because words make people, and they know that. Mm-hmm. So we have an obligation to continue to push that we create our own language environment, our word environment. And lastly on that, it just came to back to my mind, we're hollering for reparations, and we should get reparations. But we've been taught to think that reparations only mean dollar bills. And dollar bills can be important, but dollar bills, as far as the subject of reparations go, is a small picture. The word reparation means to repair, right?
Yeah.
So when you do triage, you know anything about triage, you get those who are most in the worst way first. First treatment go to those most damaged. Reparations for African Americans is not dollar bills in our pocket. The biggest way that we have been damaged, and this is my personal opinion, you may agree or disagree, is that the way, not you, not just saying this audience, may disagree or not, is that the way they gave us religion, racism and religion, is one of the most damaging things ever done to us as a people. Because
racism and religion.
Yes, because you got racism on a job, that's one thing. You got racism in school, that's something else. But when you got the audacity to say God is doing it too, man, how you gonna deal with that one? That's and that has damaged us more as a people than anything else. Because now you're saying they're gone. I could deal with the racists. I mean, if I can get to that KK guy, I can pull the hood off his head and expose him. Or whatever. I can go to the courts and sue on the job. But that gun, you mean God's on their side too with this racist? And that's a hard one. And that when we still wrestle with that, when they say that this cursed seed of Ham through Canaan, because Ham seen Noah drunk and naked, You beat us and put us on slave ships because somebody a long time ago saw their father drunk and naked? What kind of God supports that? I mean, that's a heck of an argument. So reparations, our big reparations is getting a clear understanding with our relationship with God.
So we spent a fair amount of time talking about interfaith engagement on different perspectives. But what are some of the things when you look at our Muslim communities today? What do you think we need to be talking about that we aren't talking about enough? Especially considering that we have so many platforms now where there are conversations that are taking place.
The biggest thing we're overlooking is, in my opinion, of course, the salvation of the human family. And from the perspective as how Allah gave us a book, revelation of the Quran, to bring us to that point of salvation and demonstrate it in the life model of Prophet Muhammad. I think that and this is good now, we have programs on learning the Arabic, Alif, Bat, Ta. I say, well, Alif, Bat, Ta is good, but don't forget the ABCs of life. You know, we go after rituals, we go after things like that, but the biggest picture that's repeated over and over again in the Quran is the oneness of humanity, the oneness of human family, and that's the thing that we overlook. So when it comes to the importance of the sacredness of the human person, I think that's what we overlook the most. And the other things will fall into place if we take care of that big picture, that we're all the creation of God. We all created with the equal potential, and hopefully the potential will manifest itself. But if we begin to fall more on nationalism, racism, or sexism, now the other isms, then we're going to cheat ourselves. And a lot of our talk shows, we may not realize that, but we are promoting isms and not the whole of Islam.
That's pretty profound. Speaking again about our communities and what you just brought up about salvation as a responsibility for us to talk about, human salvation. What I hear is a reference to not just Adam as we see him, our father Adam as we see him, as Khalifa, as a vicegerent, as the steward, but also in a more contemporary sense, Imam Warthi Muhammad, the title that he took for himself was Muslim American Spokesman for Human Salvation.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a sign for Muslims directly, but I felt it was also a sign for anybody who could consider themselves to be on any level of faith leadership, that you should be considering how do you expand your reach, who falls within your the boundaries of your care.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's another that's an evolution that folks are being invited to. What are the things, because we're talking about how words make people and words inform culture, what are the words that we need to start using that will help us to actualize that?
Sure. Human excellence. God is good and only makes that which is good, and God made us, so we're not born sinners. We don't accept that concept that's given this. I think it was Old Testament. Born in sin and shaped in iniquity. You mean shaped in iniquity? I had to go look that word up. Be honest about it, because that's not my. Back where I came from, we didn't say iniquity, right? I had to go look it up.
Yeah.
And so it's like it means evil. I mean, no, God didn't do that to us. God is good, and only makes that which is good. So I would say human excellence and recognizing that God made us good and made us, and this is what we learned in Islam, God made us good and also inclined towards good. We're not even, there's no, you can go to the nursery of newborn babies and say that baby there's it's inclined toward evil. That baby there's going to be a drug pusher. There's going to be a rhino. Every child in that nursery is naturally inclined toward good, toward human excellence. Now the shaitan is waiting for them, and there's something else too about media, about worshiping people.
Mm.
No, nobody your child is looking at. I got a 3-year-old grandchild. I can't understand a word she says, but she can work that tablet. She get the bench. She be working that tablet, working that tablet. She says something to me. I gotta say, I don't know what she's saying, right? But I know she's young enough to be inclined to a good. But who's on that tablet that's teaching her at 3 years old, 4 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old?
Mm.
Like words make people, and so people they have a bad intent. We know that already. They hang out on social media waiting for the innocent child to come along.
Mm. Now, words make people. People, we are constantly we're constantly evolving and developing, and that goes from one generation to the next. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm making this observation, and well, I guess one of my final questions is,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about the work that you've done and what you're trying to build, right, from internally and leading a community and being a servant in the city, uh, when you think about what you're trying to build that you may never personally get to see completed,
Mm.
have you prioritized those things? Are there some things that are more pressing for you, uh, and do you think about that sometimes?
Yes, I do. I think about it very often. Now, I've been in Imam for over 30 years. I'm like, what is my succession plan? And I talked to the board. I said, what is your succession plan? We're not getting younger, so that is a very important thought that's on our minds. And so you try to hopefully, to leave in place tools and thinkings, thinkings that you hope um, you can impregnate their minds with, uh, that those ideas will take root. So as they encounter life later on, they will remember, what was said. And I think many of us do that. Now what did mom and daddy say? Now we go back, it was 20, 30 years ago. What did grandma say? And so it's the same way here. I think that's true with every generation, that you're trying to figure out, say, well, what can I say or do or put in place? Not just a physical insurance policy, but also a insurance policy, quotation marks, for like knowledge and wisdom and family history, community history, and institutional memory.
Mm.
Institutional memory. In many of our masters, I guess churches too, we should be instilling institutional memory as to where we came from, what we went through, because where we came from, what we went through, kind of dictates our destiny that we're going toward. And so, if a person don't know where they've been or where their family has been, they may not know where they're going, and worse, they may not even know where they're at. So we have to try to instill and impart and leave wisdom hints, still sometimes direct uh, hints. So for the next generation.
Okay. Well, Imam, I thank you for taking the time to come on the program, uh,
Man,
share some of your thoughts. And obviously, what I am really left with is an hour is insufficient because we didn't get to talk about a whole lot of stuff. So hopefully you will come back.
it would be
um,
my pleasure.
yeah. So everyone, we thank Imam Michael Mikal Saahir, Imam of Imam of the Nur Allah Islamic Center in Indianapolis, author of
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Muhammad, the man behind the men, and host of Words Make People on Blog Talk Radio. Well, you could tell folks when can they join that? What's the schedule?
My blog talk is every Sunday at 1:30. I'm on some of the same outlets you're on with Facebook, YouTube, and also Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom as well. Yes, sir. And that's every Sunday at 1:30. But if I may do one more commercial.
Sure, go right ahead.
This is a book that I've written on my family tree, on my four grandparents, going back to 1805 with one family, the sojourn of four families of Limestone County, Alabama. And those were the four family names. 171-page book. And it's never done because I'm finding new cousins all the time. But it was a big relief off my shoulders to get that book done. It's just been done about a year now.
Wow. Okay. You know what? I feel a little cheated. You pull us out at the end.
Cliffhanger.
I got questions. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Well, inshallah, thank you for sharing that with us. And we thank you all for joining us. We're on right now. Our schedule is the second and fourth Sunday of the month, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We invite you to join us again. If there are episodes, conversations that you've missed, we invite you to go back and check those out, and also check out our word and lesson of the day. Share this with your friends, your family, and even people that you don't like. Right? They may become people that you do like. You never know. All right. So with that, we will see you all again next time, inshallah, with God's permission. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Taught us names that shrink the soul and called it culture. They taught us to laugh at our own erasure and call it power. A savage got no elders, only hunger. No memory, no future, only thunder. No vows, no breaks, no sacred.